My name is Ryan Esparza. Today, it is my pleasure to present to you a glimpse into the life of a musician. Much of a musician's life is centered around one action: practice. A rule of thumb that us EPSMF ambassadors use is that we only have to practice on the days that we eat. Anyone who plays an instrument will tell you that practice is extremely essential for improvement. So you might be wondering, just how exactly does one practice? Well, without further ado, I give you the 7 stages of practice. Stage 1. Procrastination. Although we know that practice is necessary, many musicians dread the thought of practice. As a result, we often begin our practice session with the task of procrastination. In an attempt to find an excuse to stall practice, we find ourselves performing a variety of duties, which include but are not limited to cleaning our room, eating an endless bowl of cereal, doing push-ups, watching one more episode on Netflix, making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, checking the mailbox, and taking a nap. However long this takes, we finally come to the realization that it is, in fact, time to stop the evils of procrastination and finally start the actual process of practice. Stage 2. Take out instrument. In order to begin practice, musicians must first go through a setup phase. Now, some may say that this is the most tedious part of practice, notably bass players. If you're a piano player like John, all he has to do is simply exert all his bodily force on a magic button that turns on his piano, and he's set. On the other hand, if you are a bass player like Isaiah, he has to take out an enormous instrument out of his case. As if that were not enough, he then takes out the bow and proceeds to rosin it for a good long minute in order to produce a sound of quality. Finally, he tunes his bass so that he can precisely play his music. The instrument may be ready for practice, but the musician requires one more step. Stage 3. Warm up. Like a football player, musicians must first warm up before they practice. As a matter of fact, we may even perform stretches just like an athlete to prepare our bodies. The warm-up then continues with a series of scales and arpeggios. These may seem like notes with no meaning, but they actually are the fundamentals to musical performance. By being able to play scales and arpeggios, the piece that we are working on becomes much easier to learn. For John, he likes to spend about 10 to 15 minutes of his practice session warming up. When he feels that his hands and fingers are ready, he then proceeds to stage 4. Stage 4. Take out music. What piece should I work on today? This question always seems to boggle the minds of musicians, chiefly because we are working on numerous pieces of music at one time. Whether we are preparing for a recital or a gig, we must carefully prioritize the music we practice and how often we practice the music. After we decide on what we want to practice, we then have to take the time and look for the music. Now, some musicians are more organized than others, but it can be a hassle when you misplace or lose your music. On rare occasions, would you find a piece you want to play waiting for you on the music stand? Musicians are constantly busy, rushing from rehearsal to the practice room to class and back home. Music is bound to magically vanish from time to time. After the struggle of getting music from its previous location to the stand, it is finally time to practice. Stage 5. Begin practice. This stage is the most interesting, important, and rewarding for musicians. When musicians get into the flow of practice, they are extremely focused and nothing can faze them. During this time, the musician is intricately obsessing over every single detail in the piece, from how fast or slow they are playing to how loud or soft they play. Not only do we try our best to achieve perfection on all the music tells us to do, but we also try to be as musical as possible, and often we put our own interpretation into the music. It is a challenge for musicians to achieve perfection on any piece of music, but consistency through practice ensures that we are ready to give our best when we perform. Stage 6. Experience self-doubt. Practice takes a toll on the body and the mind. It is a sad reality for many musicians to experience self-doubt after countless amounts of time spent practicing. We may feel that no matter how much we try and how much we do, we will never be able to play the piece up to par. It is extremely discouraging to see our dedication to practice amount to nothing. There are even times where we may want to quit playing our instrument for good. Other times, we get frustrated and want to destroy our instrument into pieces. Self-doubt is extremely dangerous, not just for musicians. Despite this, every musician knows that it is important to stay motivated and to maintain a positive attitude, even when practice gets difficult. Stage 7. Put instrument away. After a long time of vigorous practice, musicians finally feel some sense of accomplishment. Whether it may be figuring out one tricky measure or finally being able to play the piece without stopping, practice never fails to deliver results. As the famous saying goes, practice makes perfect. Musicians know that while there is some truth to this statement, no piece is ever perfected. There is always some nuisance that can be worked upon to improve. Nonetheless, the feeling of success allows musicians to put their instruments away after a practice session with a prideful sense. The beautiful instrument must now be carefully put away, awaiting the next time that this cycle starts over again. Thanks for watching. We hope that we have given you a little glimpse into the life of a musician and what actually goes on to produce the end result of a masterpiece. The EPSMF will continue to put out videos every Friday, so be sure to stay tuned. As always, be sure to like the video, consider subscribing, and share this with your family and friends. Peace out.